Welcome to episode 7 of the Inside Real Estate Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Shae Gibbs. Shae, thanks for coming on with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. It's your first podcast?
Yes.
All right. Well, it's not going to be your last, I'm sure.
Okay.
So basically what we do on the podcast is we just kind of chat a little bit about what you're doing in the business and let people get a feel for who you are and then kind of see if there's some things that you're doing that maybe other people aren't doing, but you're having success.
Okay.
And maybe see if other people can take some value from that. So let's start out. So tell us a little bit about who is Shae Gibbs.
Shae Gibbs. So I am a realtor. I'm with United Real Estate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also an investor. I flip houses with my kids, and I'm a mom.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So that's who I am.
Very cool. How did you get started in real estate?
So I've actually been helping people buy houses since the 1990s.
Really?
Yes. I just didn't get paid for it. So I did everything with my friends and family after buying my first house at 22. So I liked it, but I didn't want to do it full time. I wanted to, climb the corporate world, ladder in the corporate world. And then in 2015, I had purchased houses before, multiple houses myself. And then I worked with a realtor, and she worked with all my family members. So I sent her to my sister. And now she's established 10 years in, and she didn't have that same drive that she had before helping people. And she did not help my sister through the process. She kind of left her on her own. I was there, but she kind of left her on her own. And then I went away, and my sister put an offer in, I think asking price, and they went with another offer. They came back to my sister because that fell through. And then, she didn't advise her, no, go with your price, the offer that you put in. So after that, when I came home from vacation, I was like, that's it, I'm getting my license. So that's what I did. I went to school, got my license, but then I got sick, and I was sick for like 3 years. So I didn't start working as a realtor until 2019.
Okay. So you basically saw that somebody you cared about wasn't getting taken care of properly.
Yes.
And then you realize, like, hey, that's
yes.
not how it's supposed to be.
Right. It wasn't about the money. It was more about making sure that people are given the proper information to make informed decisions, and that someone is advocating for them. And my sister didn't have that. So I was like, that's it. This is not happening again. And then right after that, I decided to get my license. My cousin, she purchased a house in Douglasville, and she went with the agent that listed the house. And I was like, no, you need to get your own agent, someone to advocate for you. Long story short, he made all these promises for her to make an offer, and then nothing he held to. So she ended up paying asking price. She didn't get the car that was left. Like, it was so much. So I was like, yeah, that's it. That's 2 family members within weeks of each other. And so that's what it was. It was all about,
Wow.
people not being taken care of. So
I didn't know that about you till now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very awesome. So that was how you got into real estate.
Yes.
So when from your experience prior to getting licensed to after getting into the business, so take us through what you did once you got licensed. So you had your reason why you wanted to get licensed, but then how'd you approach the business?
So I was sick for a few years, and I was just getting back into the workforce. So I had my license, but I was working for Comcast. And so I'm like, can I do this part-time and still work for Comcast? And of course, that's what I started off doing. So my first client was my best friend. So I took her through the whole process of, buying a house, but I learned with her. So I kind of learned the business with her, how to negotiate, how to just advocate for her. I worked at KW. That was my first broker. And I didn't get the support I felt like I should have been getting. Okay. You're supposed to have a mentor. My mentor was, she's killing it in the real estate game. She's awesome. But I didn't feel like she had my best interest in terms of making sure that I was going to be successful. And she also said some things that kind of threw me off. Like, one of the things was she didn't work with anyone that wasn't approved for under 250. And I was like, so you don't think low income people deserve to buy a house? And she's like, they're just too much work. And I was like, okay. So it kind of made it my mission that I'm going to help first-time home buyers. I don't care how much money they make, what they're approved for. I'm going to be there for them, because if she thinks that way, then there's a lot of other real estate agents that think that way. And so I'm not chasing the money. I'm chasing people, I guess, living the American dream, if that makes sense. Or, the small people, or the people that don't make money, enough money to get approved for 300,000-400,000. I'm going to work with them. So that's kind of been like my mission. First time home buyers, I enjoy working with them because I'm able to help educate them. So that's kind of what I did when I first started. So it started off with my best friend. And then it kind of just went from there with referrals the rest of the year. I only sold 7 houses, but listening to what's going on and what happened in 2023, a lot of agents left the business because they only sold 1 or 2 houses. So I feel like I was blessed in that sense, getting started and selling 7 houses.
Wow.
Kind of by myself, because my mentor didn't do anything.
Okay, so you got into the business, you started, like a lot of people did. They, you don't know what you don't know. Right. So you go through, you sold 7 houses your first year.
Yes.
Very cool. And all buyers. So,
yep.
So you're
mainly
a buyer's agent when you're working with people?
Yes.
Okay. So, what have you learned about people working as a buyer's agent?
People like my clients, or just the mindset of a buyer? Period.
Let's go with the mindset of a buyer.
They have a lot of misinformation. They're misinformed because they're listening to their friends. They're listening to family. They're listening to whatever's going on the internet.
Could you unpack that a little bit? Like, what types of things are they misinformed about?
The mortgage process, how to get pre-approved, what all goes into a pre-approval. So most people don't understand that not only everyone's stuck on this credit, right? So for the last 2-3 years since COVID, everyone's cleaning their credit up, which is good. So everyone's stuck on, I have an 800 credit score or 750 credit score, but that's not all that goes into getting a mortgage. Right. Well, I have a 750, so I should get the best interest rate. That's not how it works. So they're misinformed about the process, the beginning process. Getting pre-approved, you have to get they look at your DTI, your income, and your credit score. So if all of those 3 things don't align, then you're not going to get approved for a mortgage. Doesn't matter if you have a 750 credit score. If your debt to income is 50% or higher, you're not getting approved for a mortgage. So helping people understand that is like one of the biggest hurdles. Okay. Just because they're so, my girlfriend said, they're not telling you the truth all the time. They're glorifying how they purchased their home.
Everybody's a realtor.
Right, exactly. And I did run into my best friend, actually, when we went through her process. Her sister had purchased a home, and she kept saying, well, I did this and I didn't have to do that. And I was like, if she has a second mortgage, it's not a grant. She kept saying, I got my realtor got grant money. She wanted her sister to move with her realtor. And I said, if she has to pay anything back on a monthly basis, it's not a grant. It is a loan, a second mortgage. So that's the other thing that they're not really aware of coming into this and just listening to what other people have to say.
Did you develop, so you've learned a lot. You got in, you started, you had 7 homes your first year. So what kind of system have you developed as far as like your process for working with buyers? So let's say I get referred to you through somebody, and I say, hey, Shae, I want to buy a house. What process do you take them through, like on your end as your business?
So I usually do a free consultation with them.
What's that look like?
I usually say 30 minutes, but it ended up being an hour or so because I run my mouth. And doing so, when you let people speak as well, you hear where they are in the process. So we kind of, I let them talk, and I want to hear their understanding of what they're about to embark on. Like, do you understand this process? Do you understand mortgages? So in most cases, that first conversation, I'm explaining the mortgages, and I'll be upfront and I'll say, listen, this is what I know. It's not my lane. So I will refer you, if you don't have someone, to this mortgage person or this mortgage person. I've worked with these people. I trust them, so you can trust them. They'll be able to go more in depth with what these mortgages look like and what you may qualify for. So I find myself having that conversation. Most people don't understand what FHA is, or a VA loan, or conventional, or USDA. They just know that they want to buy a house. So that's the first part of it. And then I don't ask them their financials. I say that's between you and the mortgage company. I don't need to know how much you make. I don't need to know anything. Once that mortgage loan officer tells me that you've been approved for a certain amount, then we can go from there. So the idea usually is, I want a huge kitchen, master bathroom, finished basement, big yard. But my, qualification and what I'm qualified for tells me I can't afford that. So it's like heartbreaking in the beginning, because you're kind of, I guess you're like their expectation of what they can buy in the first conversation. And then after speaking to the mortgage company, kind of brings them down a little bit. And so sometimes that's disappointing. And it's a little upsetting to have to tell someone, well, you can't get all that, but let's see what we can get.
Was there a point when you got started that you didn't have that system in place?
Of course. The first one, so I'll go back to when I said I've been helping people buy, right? Mm-hmm. So I knew what to do, how to look for a house, I did understand the different finance options, doing that and not being paid for it. So I did have that on my side. I didn't have the legal part, like the contracts and all that stuff, because I didn't have to go through that. I just got my, friends and family to the table. I did not know what went on behind the scenes. So that was a little, not difficult, but I had to, learn those things, make sure I'm saying the right thing so I don't get sued, and make sure I'm not overstepping, what the contract actually says. So I'm trying to think if I ran into anything. I probably did. I just can't remember right now.
Okay. Sounds like you really have a good way about like actually sitting down and listening and doing that, information collection to guide you through helping these people the best way possible. How important is that to successfully working with a buyer?
It's very important, because you don't want to give them false hope. And you want them to understand. So I need you to completely understand this process and what you're doing. I've had conversations with people, they'll call me and go work with someone else. And I'll tell you, if you want a realtor to lie to you or just yes you, I'm not her. I'm not her. I'm going to tell you the truth. I may deliver it. It might not be so nice when I deliver it, and I apologize for that up front, but I'm not going to be that one. Yeah, we could do that. Oh, yeah, you can do that. Oh, yeah. That's not going to be me. So I have turned down some buyers because I just felt like it was going to be more stress than I needed. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, that's understandable. So when I had my real estate license in the beginning, I didn't have a system like that in place, right? So, I know a lot of agents, experienced agents, and I was guilty of it myself, that will somebody calls and say, hey, I want to see houses. And you just start showing people houses and they don't do all that, but you don't have that system. And one, you waste your time, and it's not good for them either, because there's no boundaries and expectations set. You don't have the information to properly handle them at that point.
Right.
And I noticed, I love hearing what you're saying, because I noticed once I implemented a system like that, that it would really change the game. The buyers understand, like you said, what they're getting themselves into. They take it more seriously,
exactly.
I believe. And then also it makes your time better spent as well. And then in the end, you get to the finish line better. And in some cases, you get to the finish line where in other cases you wouldn't even get there.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I think that's pretty powerful stuff. So that's great to hear. So what would you say your specialty is?
Working with first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
I think I've listed a few houses. I think I'm kind of 50-50 right now. Before, I was really heavy on buyers, but I've been getting some listings. Of course, I list my own homes, but also other listings. So last year was kind of a 50-50 mix. Yeah. I did both listings and buying.
You're growing.
Buyer's agent as well as a seller's agent.
That's good. Having started being heavy in the buyers, and now you're starting to get some more listings. What do you like more? You still like dealing with the buyers more?
Yes, because then I still have that other, what I like to do, educate. Sellers are a little easier. You still have to educate them because, again, that house sold for, or I want this, or I want this, dollar amount for my house. And they're not understanding that maybe that house, renovated their kitchen and their bathroom, which are the two that's what you need to sell a house and get top dollar, really, some renovations. So it's still educating sellers, but I think the buyer experience is more rewarding.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about you as an investor. So let's put your clients, buyers, and sellers aside.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about what you do.
Hey, I wear all the hats. Actually, I started this. Well, actually, my son started. He did research for 2 years while he was working, and he purchased his first home cash. I had no interest in flipping houses or doing any of that. That was going to be his thing. But being a mom and a real estate agent, at the time I was sick, so I was not working as an agent. I went through the process with him. And we laugh and joke about it. And I'm like, you went from preschool to graduating college on this house because any and everything that can go wrong went wrong on his first house. And it started once again with an agent not having his best interest. So he paid cash for the house. The house was on the market for $25,000 for over 2 years.
Okay.
And this agent went $12,000 over.
Wow.
No other. So I said, well, let me see your paperwork. And I said, well, wait, I just looked this up. This house was on the market for 2 years for $25,000. Why'd you pay $37,000? And he's like, well, that's what she told me to offer. So it started there.
There are a lot of people that blindly trust. And, I think honestly, I work with a lot of agents. And I think for the most part, most of them have your mentality. The ones, at least the ones I work with, but there are some out there that it's like, man,
yeah,
it's like you feel bad.
Yeah,
but
I'm just like, why did you do that? So it started there because I wanted him to do it on his own. I didn't want to be that mom hovering and let me help you. So I wanted him to go through the whole process alone. So after that house, then he's like, Mom, you have to buy a house. And I was like, I don't want to buy a house. He's like, no, you have to do this. And ironically, years prior, I had started our LLC, which is L&A Consultant and Investments Group. And L&A stands for Laquana, Nasir, and Amira. So I had already had the LLC. It was like aged for 3 years already. Didn't know what I was going to do with it. So here we go. L&A is going to buy its first home. So that's how I got started in renovating houses.
Cool. Tell us about the first one.
First one was cool. It wasn't that bad. No holes in the walls. We didn't.
What was the situation like? Like, tell us how so you decided to buy it. How'd you find it? How'd you come across it? How was the actual acquisition?
So he was still working with, I think that may have been his first wholesaler. Yes. So someone contacted him because he sold the first house. So we purchased the house through a wholesaler.
Okay.
Purchased the home, went through the whole process, closed in 2 weeks, and hired a contractor. Hired a contractor. Contractors. 3 estimates. So, of course, we went with the best estimate and the person who promised the world to us. Yeah. And so that project, 6 months, we were on our 3rd contractor. Yeah. First contractor, took all the windows out, replaced the windows, took his deposit, and never saw him again. He did leave all his tools, so got to keep everything.
Well, I guess,
brand new generator, everything. Second contractor came in. Oh, I can do this, and I'll fix that. And then he didn't pay his electrician, and unbeknownst to us, the electrician went in and cut all the wires behind the wall. So now 3rd contractor's in because he didn't get paid. So he had wired the entire house, but went and cut all the wires. So 3rd contractor came in and told us that the wires were all cut. So now we're on our 2nd electrician. So we went over budget, maybe like $40,000.
Okay.
It was a nightmare, but the house turned out really nice.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm hands-on, so whenever I can go in and do things, I did. acquisition. So we went through a hard money lender.
Okay.
Yeah, that was our first time working with a hard money lender.
Would you, is that still how you approach it, or does it kind of depend on the
It depends
scenario?
on the deal.
Yeah.
It depends on the deal.
Okay.
Yes.
So how many deals, I don't know if you know exactly how many, but ballpark it, how many properties have you done yourself?
I think we're on 15
15.
or 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you always, are they always flips for you, or you ever do the landlord thing?
They're all flips.
Okay.
So we've been discussing whether or not we're going to get into holding. I just being on social media, just all the nightmares of being a landlord. There's nothing wrong with it, and eventually we will do that. But right now, the way we're structured, having other things going on, it's easier for us to just get in and get out.
Are you stepping up the properties as you go on? Like, okay, now you're making money along the way. Like, are you buying better properties as
So
you
we're
go?
doing both. We have not. We just did our first row home, so we've always flipped twins or singles.
Okay.
So it was an experience doing our first row home. We're completing that, and you're taking the pictures tomorrow.
Yes.
But that was our first row, and we don't buy. I think we don't buy houses that the roof is missing.
Oh, you try not to buy the money pits, right? Yeah.
Right. I'm not trying to get into that. So it's a mixture. It just depends on what we can get, because being an investor, we're falling into the same as a normal buyer right now. So we've been, beat out on offers. We went 50,000 over a couple months ago, and someone went 75,000 over. So we're running into the same thing with inventory being low. These wholesalers are getting their hands on a lot of deals, and then they have a lot of investors, and so we're competing with other investors. Say some, money is longer, and some you go neck and neck. But again, we went 50,000 over, and someone was 75. It's like, you got to be kidding me! And they did it like an hour after I put my offer in, because prior to that he didn't have offers at that number.
It's like sniping on eBay. You wait till the
Exactly.
last second.
I'm like, are you serious? And I called the guy. I said, you told me I was good.
Yeah.
And he was like, the last minute, 75 over.
You know what, though? Things like that, that's, you got to look at it as like, it was supposed to be that way.
Exactly. And that's how we look at it. We approach everything. It's our time. We're not competing with anyone but ourselves.
You said you're kind of in the same shoes as a normal buyer in a lot of these cases, right? So when you're going in there, what mindset have you had to have yourself, and what, advice do you think, is good for people that are either looking to do what you're doing or potentially buy a home? Like, what mindset do they need to be in right now, the way the market is?
What's for you is for you. That's it. If it doesn't work in your favor, that wasn't the house for you. Go into everything with an open mind and be able to pivot. Like, if I am set on doing this, I'm set on this particular house, kind of step back and then just reevaluate where you are, and then understand if you're missing out on these deals, it wasn't the house for you. For us as investors, then okay, well, on to the next one. As a buyer, just understanding the market, that's where we are. You may be beat out on an offer, and just don't take it personal, or don't let it get you down. Just keep pushing. Like I always say, stand 10 toes down and keep pushing. So that's my mindset. And if I can get my buyers to understand it, that's awesome. Most of them do. And I'm big on faith. So I'm like, listen, have faith and everything's going to work out. God going to give you what you need when you need it. So
I love that.
I'm big on that. So that's what I kind of, and my buyers understand that. So I don't have too many buyers that are like super disappointed. And I also tell them in that consultation, it's a roller coaster ride. It's not all fun. You're going to have your highs, you're going to have your lows, but stay on that ride, because at the end, you'll get what you need. You get what you're looking for. So, that's how we approach it. And that's how I kind of walk through it with my buyers. It is not easy.
No.
Yeah.
That's great. So with your properties that you get when you flip them, right? So I think different people who do flipping, right? Some of them go in and they have the, hey, let's patch drywall, put in the bare minimum everything, and not to say that doesn't work, but I think you can also over improve a
You can.
property, and then there's also, I think from what I've seen of what you do is kind of a sweet spot, right? So what is your mentality when you approach a property as far as like what you're going to do getting it ready to get back on the market?
Okay. So I look at the market, of course. I look at my comps. I'm real heavy on the comps. We are not those investors who just go in and, let me just throw some patches or paint, throw the bare minimum, the cheap cabinets. We actually do, spend some money on our material. In the sense that we buy good material, but our vendors, we have a good rapport with our vendors, so we're not necessarily, spending a lot of money. But we do things the right way. So I look at the market. So we go through all of that prior to, purchasing the home. If the numbers don't make sense, we won't purchase it. So generally speaking, the numbers make sense. We know where we want to be for profit. And you can do all that, research and plan and everything, and it still doesn't, go the way you want it to go. However, we do things differently. Gray was the craze. I did not want to do a gray home. You know that. I did one gray home, and that house actually sat on the market for a few months. So I felt like gray was like, no, we said we weren't going to do it. And now look, the house is on the market. So, we wanted to stand apart from the other investors. So that's why I didn't want to do gray. And then also when we go in, once we open the wall, if we find something, we fix it. We don't hide it. And 9 times out of 10, it's blown our budget. But we don't want to put out a house where the buyer is going to, or the agent's going to call us 6 months later and say, listen, this just caved in, or this isn't working. So we take the hit. And that's what sets us apart, I believe, from most. I don't know what all, investors do.
Sure.
I just know what we do.
So as your approach that you're just talking about, is that more you wanting to cover your butt, or is that you wanting to provide something, you want to put out a quality product?
It's us putting out a quality product. That's just who we are. And because I'm an agent, and I'm a buyer's agent, mostly a buyer's agent, I don't want my clients buying a piece of crap house. So I don't want to,
be the one providing that piece of crap house.
Exactly. Yeah. If I could just real quick, she's not my client. She's been someone I've been talking to, a young lady, for 2.5 years now. Purchased her first home at 25. Didn't want any assistance from her parents. And she went with the listing agent. And I promise you, this young lady is homeless right now. I just spoke to her last week, and she's crying again. And she's like, Miss Shae, what am I supposed to do? Like, we're homeless. The house has been condemned. She paid $250,000 for this house that looks so pretty, walking through the door. But everything is wrong with the house. The roof, the plumbing. Yeah. After 2 months, she didn't realize in the basement, they put plywood over a massive hole in the basement floor. And she's wondering in the summertime why she had so many flies. Well, her waste was just coming up in the basement. And that was 2 months in. 2 months
wow.
in. So when she called me, she was 5 months in and asking me, what can I do? Can I sell this house right now? And then when I went through the house, I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, send me your inspection report. It was all in the report. But she said her agent didn't go over the report with her, and she didn't know what she was looking at. But all of those things, except for the sewage, was, in the report. So for me to get a phone call from her right now, crying about being homeless, I'm trying to figure out how to help her. She can't rent a place because her credit is messed up because she stopped paying because she couldn't live in the house. So that story alone, that's now. But my mindset always was, I don't want anyone coming back to me about what we didn't do. And that the house is crap. So we put our all into it. We've lost some, we've won some. But again, we just live to fight another day. So it's all about providing a quality product. It's not about saving our butts.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think I think everybody should kind of be thinking that way because it's, it may not bite you in the moment, but
Yeah,
that stuff bites you somewhere
What do
down
they
the
say?
line.
Karma comes back sometimes,
That's right. So we've been working together doing your marketing for years now. I don't know, probably 3 years or so?
4?
2? Is it that long?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Man, they just run together now.
Is it? Wait, what year is this? Oh, no. 2019.
Yeah, okay.
5 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what made you decide to start doing marketing for your listings as opposed to what a lot of people do? Not a lot of people do the professional marketing, but what made you say, hey, that's something we need to do?
So that is something I took away from my mentor at KW. She said, always hire a professional photographer and market your home as best you can. So, and then she pointed out, look at this listing, they did this with their cell phone. Don't ever take cell phone pictures to market your homes. You want to present the best house for your clients. So I took that from her, the way she markets. This new thing with social media, I'm struggling with it.
I don't think you're struggling that bad.
I think so. I mean, my kids I'm my worst critic. But man, they're tearing me up right now. I thought I did a good job on a video, and they were like, no, that's a no. We need to work on your editing skills. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm just playing around with these
They're
with these
rooting
apps.
for you.
They are. And thank you to you as well, giving me some feedback behind the scene. And my esthetician, Karen Olivia, she's been on me as well. Actually, she put the camera in my face first, making me go live. So I'm trying to move into the now and the social media.
What made you decide, what was the thing that the switch that went that you're like, I have to do this?
Well, needing clients, knowing that, that's a way to get leads. And just, you have to move with times. I can't be a dinosaur and just say, I'm going to do it this way when I see that it's working for people. And then I always say social media is smoke and mirrors. You have some people that are honest in what they're doing, and you have some people that are selling you something.
Yeah.
So I still want to be, work with integrity. That's my tagline: integrity, service, results. So you're not going to get smoke and mirrors with me. You're going to get me.
You're going to get fireworks.
You're going to get me. One of my reviews, the buyer's girlfriend said I was a pit bull.
I can see that.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. So I said, you let her call me a dog. And he was like, no, not like that. She just said the way you fought at the table for us, like right down to the minute you were still fighting for us. She was just like, wow, she doesn't let up. She's a pit bull. So
how did that make you feel when you heard that? Aside from the way they said it.
It is what it is.
No. But I mean, getting feedback, positive feedback like that. What does that do for you?
It makes me feel good. I know that I'm doing my job. So if you as the listing agent don't like me, oh, well, I'm not working for you. I'm working for my buyers. So I've had to go at it with some agents.
Yeah.
As professional as possible. And it's so funny when they can't stand on principle or what's at hand right now, they always throw their experience at me.
I love that too.
I'm like, I've been doing this for 25 years. I don't care how long you've been doing it. This is not right. And you're not doing this to my buyer, period.
The first buyer I dealt with when I had my license, I'm like, I knew the right things to say, but I hadn't done it before, and I know the agent could smell the newness on me, and she's like, I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm like, whatever,
right? Right.
You'll be saying that at some point to somebody, but I mean,
I don't think I will. Right. I don't think I will, because just because you've been doing something for a long time, it's just like what I just said. I have to change my way of thinking in terms of marketing. So I don't think I'm gonna throw that at someone.
No. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it like that. I meant more that we'll be in those situations, later down the road where you will be
The senior.
the senior,
I
right?
got you.
But I think if you have the right mentality, you know, it's almost like, yeah, you got to look out for your client, but maybe it's an opportunity to show somebody how it's done in a like a positive way that you can set a good example.
And I did that. I did work with a new agent, and I did help her along the way.
Yeah.
Of course, she's a listing agent, and I was the buying agent.
Did you run into like while we're on that? Did you run into agents, more agents that you felt were setting a good example, or agents that were kind of just, I don't know.
I've been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
I want to say I've had a mixture.
Okay.
It's probably 4 that really stood out that were just very difficult to work with.
Yeah.
Very difficult to work with. And then one of my easiest was a new agent. She was, a new agent, and she's killing it. She's doing really good, but she was the easiest to work with. Yeah. We had no issues.
I think there's a industry-wide culture. I think the culture in the industry is moving in the right direction as far as like coming at it from the positive aspect, because you could have been in the business for 40 years at this point, but in the last like 3-4 years the industry has just changed so much.
Exactly.
That if you're not shifting, like, because I don't think we're going back to pre-COVID real estate.
No, not at all.
Not at all. And it's it's not a bad thing. I think there's a lot of positive things in there. But yeah, it's definitely different for sure. Yeah. So
I like when I can work with an agent and we work together. It just makes the transaction a lot easier.
Yes.
You're going to miss something, no matter what side you're on. You might miss something and they call it and you understand, oh, okay, all right, I missed something. But to be out and out nasty to people and use your experience as the reason that you're right doesn't make sense.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Sure. Okay, so let me go back to social media for a second. So what's the approach you're taking right now with that?
I'm uncomfortable going live. I think I'm a control freak as well.
That can be a good thing.
Yeah. So right now it's so funny. I'm doing videos of myself. And believe it or not, the one that I'm posting was probably the 20th time I did it.
Oh, man.
I'm serious. And I'm like, no, I don't like the way I look on that one. Oh, no. Oh, darn it. I messed up. Oh, I forgot to mention. So tonight at 7 p.m., I'm going live.
I saw that.
And the mortgage broker, she's never gone live before either. So she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I was like, neither do I. So we'll figure it out together. So I'm going live. So I'm going to start trying to go live at least once a week.
Kind of forces you to be on your game, doesn't it?
Yes.
That's a good thing.
And this is helping right now. Yeah. I'm not necessarily
I think you
live,
have done
but this is helping.
You are actually one of my favorite guests.
Oh, thanks, Brian.
No, I wouldn't have known you haven't done this before.
Really? Okay.
You're very natural. That's a good thing. I think you're harder on yourself than you should be. I think you're pretty damn good.
I am. I'm always my worst critic.
But that's not that's a good thing. But just like to know that you are your toughest critic, but I think you need to just take a step back and switch your hats and put yourself in the viewer's perspective. And if you were watching somebody who did that, would you think it was awful? If you're looking at yourself, then you're like, I could have. But if you're just putting yourself in the audience's shoes, I think you're doing great.
Thank you.
What type of information are you looking like? What's as far as like the substance of your content? How are you approaching that right now?
I'm still figuring it out. So again, like you and Karen, I have another couple that are real heavy in social media, have a podcast, and they've written books. So they've given me some pointers. So I think I mentioned that you told me to be natural to them and not keep rehearsing so much so that I'm not being myself. So listening to me, his name is Christian. He said, okay, so what I'm hearing is people like to see you. So I'm good with going live when I'm on vacation, right? So I vacation a lot. I love my freedom. and I love being able to vacation. So a lot of people, when I'm not posting my videos or pictures, they're like, wait a minute, what happened? I got online today to see what you did today. So we're talking and he is like, so what I'm hearing is Shae's tips, trips, and flips. So
Ooh.
I kind of like sat with that. Actually, he used my first name, Laquana. So I work under both, mainly Shae for real estate. So he used Laquana's tips, trips, and flips. So I was like, Shae's tips, trips, and flips. So now
It's
I
got a
think
ring
I'm
to it.
trying to use social media and my content be based on that. So I'm giving you the real estate tips, information, not just, words, but actually trying to do videos, reels, kind of giving you that information and then throw in my trips a little bit, giving you
Mm-hmm.
information on, hey, listen, you can go here or you can do this. And then now starting to talk about the flips because I'm a little more comfortable in what we're doing and not realizing that all these years we've built up so much content that now I'm going back looking at old videos trying to see how I can incorporate them into my new marketing strategy or my new content,
Yeah.
because I never thought of it that way. So it's a lot. I'm working on myself and I'm working mentally to prepare myself to this is where we are in real estate.
Yeah.
This is where we are, period. Everything
Mm-hmm.
is heavy social media. So
We're always on it.
yeah,
And I think I've been saying for a while now, it's not really a negotiable anymore.
no,
It's like
it's
you kind
not.
of need to do it. You have to be a marketer.
It and that's funny because my undergraduate is business communication, so I was heavy on marketing, and my MBA is finance and economics, so it's a little more boring. But I did a lot of marketing, during my undergrad because of the
Okay.
communication portion of it. But that is not the same marketing. It's not the marketing of the old. This is something totally different. So yeah, I'm working very hard to understand this and make sure that I'm doing it to not only help my viewers, but to help myself as well.
All right. So quickly, you sound like somebody that a lot of people would want in their corner when they're looking to buy a house. What's give me your best two pieces of advice for somebody looking to buy a house right now?
Make sure that you communicate with the agent. Communicate what you're feeling, what you want, and your understanding of the process. Because even yesterday, I found someone that said, oh, I'm a vet, so I can buy a house, but I don't know anything about it. And I started talking to him, whether he works with me or not. I gave him information that he
Sure.
can use. So I would just say communicating is like number
Communication.
one. Mm-hmm.
That's about all I have. But I
Wait, you
would.
did say two, right?
You have another one?
I don't know. I think I had
I
one
didn't want to
prior
leave
to
you hanging
saying
if you didn't have. But I
two.
think that's a great one. So
Make sure you go with the agent that is going to advocate for you and the agent that will tell you the truth, even if it hurts your
how
feelings.
would somebody know that?
I think you can feel it in your first conversation. So like talk to, when you want to get started, just shop around, talk to multiple agents and see who makes you feel comfortable, who you vibe with, who you think is going to be that person for you. I've been that person for quite a few people. I've been that person and they still went and worked with someone else, but that's okay because I still did the education part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I still answered their questions. And if you want to go work with someone else, that's fine. And I've also turned people away. I don't need it. I think they used to say, not all money is good money.
True.
And that's true. So if I feel like you're going to stress me out, I'm
I don't
sorry,
need
but
it.
I'm not the agent for you. It doesn't mean I have $1 million in the bank. It just means that my peace right now means a lot more than being stressed out and chasing the money. That's not what I do anyway. I don't chase the money. It's about helping people. So
Awesome. And
the
then
money will come.
quote, take that to the bank.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if real estate doesn't have to be related to real estate, what is your best positive message to the world right now?
Ooh, be kind and understanding because you never know what someone is going through.
I love that.
Yep.
Thank you, Shae.
You're welcome. Thank you, Brian.
It was a pleasure. That's a wrap.
All right. That wasn't too bad.
Nope.